Hello, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Director's Cut, a podcast by the Directors Guild of America, featuring today's top directors sharing behind-the-scenes stories of their latest films and insights into the craft of directing. Please take a second to subscribe to our show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Check out the DGA website at dga.org and hover over the Craft tab to watch or listen to hours of content, such as past episodes of The Director's Cut, videos of the Guild's 75th anniversary celebration, and long-form interviews from our visual history program. This episode takes us behind the scenes of director Amy Scott's new documentary, Hal. Set against the backdrop of a rapidly changing America and an even more dramatic shift in filmmaking, the film celebrates the life and work of director Hal Ashby, whose filmography includes the DGA Award-nominated feature Coming Home, as well as the Academy Award-winning classics Harold and Maude, Shampoo, and Being There. Once the toast of New Hollywood in the 1970s, Ashby's obsessive genius but uncompromising nature became an archetypal story of art versus industry. Hal was screened as part of the DGA's documentary series, which aims to spotlight groundbreaking nonfiction films for DGA members and guests by presenting screenings of documentaries as well as conversations with their directors. The film is Ms. Scott's directorial debut and premiered at the 2018 Sundance Film Festival, where it was nominated for the Documentary Grand Jury Prize. After the documentary series screening of Hal at the DGA Theater in Los Angeles, Ms. Scott spoke with director Chuck Workman about making the film. During their discussion, Ms. Scott talks about why she thought the film needed to be made, being a fellow editor-turned-director like the subject of her film, and what she learned from Hal as a filmmaker.
For me and others who remember those days and were not born during those days, like Amy was, Hal Ashby was tremendous influence. And we knew he got stoned a lot, but the movies themselves, if you can imagine someone having 6 hits in a row. I mean, they talk about Bogdanovich having 3 in a row. 6 hits in a row. Today, it would have just been crazy, but I don't think he was looking to make hits. I think he was just looking to make movies that he wanted to make. So I hope he's here watching and he got to see this movie, because it does pay tribute, I think, to him in a great way. And Amy also was an editor, and it still is probably, right? And so that also is part of it. And I think we were trying to figure out how many very big editors of A movies moved into directing of A movies. We came up with Lean, Wise, and Ashby. And I can't really think, I mean, there are many editors people come out of the cutting room and direct, but I can't really think of anybody that moved in that huge horizontal move. So there's a tribute to editors, which of course is, I think, great, and you think great, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you a question. He says, as an editor, and you quote him, "The film will tell you what to do." So what did his films tell you to do?
They told me to keep cutting and recut and recut and cut and cut and cut. Well, that's what he said. He, look at it again every single time, turn it upside down, inside and out. The film, my 2 producers are here, Brian Morrow and Christine Beebe. We worked on this for 5 years. We cut for 2 or 3 years. And so this was, like a real snake on its tail. As you know, editing is, you start off thinking you're making this film, and then you keep getting, at least for documentaries, we kept getting more and more footage that would inform the edit, and I'd recut and recut and recut and recut. It was brutal, but then it was beautiful. I mean, the film emerged. I didn't have anything to do with the final thing. I felt like, I was sort of like drinking the Kool-Aid after a while. I was like thinking Hal is up there like pulling the strings in terms of where the cut was going and what we were going to reveal. And so, yeah, it just taught me, the film will tell you what to do, just means work hard. It's going to reveal itself.
Did you have a bed in the cutting room and smoke a lot of marijuana at the same time?
At times, yeah. Yeah. We cut this in so many different. I cut it in my house at night. I had 2 kids, so when they would go to bed or nap, and you're like in a newborn, new parent, haze. So it was like I felt like that was like constant. I was just editing. They'd nap. I was editing, and then yes. Not so much on the pot side.
And had you seen any of that equipment that he was working on? Those old film editing
Had
machines?
I seen it before?
I mean, had you worked on those at all?
Yeah, minimally. I mean, I worked in Chicago. I was archiving WGN's film collection for a while, and so I did. I didn't do theatrical. I wasn't editing on a chem. I was born in 1976, so most of my work is in the digital realm.
Some of us were editing before the chem.
No, yeah. It's super surreal to be here right now with you guys. I never would have dreamed this was happening. So,
well, it's a worthy subject. So how did you come up with this subject that no one had? There probably was one film or another about Hal Ashby, but
there was
something that was so comprehensive as this one.
It was strange. So, I mean, I'm a fan, not a fan, like a super fan, actually, of 70s cinema. I think it's the greatest era of filmmaking in this. It's one of the things that is like an American treasure. And I studied his films, and they informed my creative decisions they informed those films, when we were talking about McCabe and Mrs. Miller, like, it informed the music that I listened to and the clothes that I chose to wear. So there was like kind of an obsessive fetishization of 70s culture. And then I read Nick Dawson, it's in the film, he wrote, a book about Hal, which I think I read on a flight back and forth somewhere. And I thought it was really great. And I was like, oh, I've seen the movie. Because it was written so well that I could imagine the scenes. And so then when I got home, I was like, I'll Google. It'll be on Amazon. I'll rent it. And it wasn't there. And I was like, what's going on? Okay. And so I did some research, and it seemed completely insane to me that it hadn't been made. And then I was, sort of compelled to do it, and then told everyone I knew that I was doing it before it was like a real thing. You're just kind of like crazy talking about it, and then got my producers on board.
And did you run into people that didn't have the faintest idea who you were talking about?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah. A lot of people don't. Even it was shocking though. Even people that I loved and trusted, and we'd have long conversations about film, and they were like, "No, who is Hal Ashby?" And it was like offensive to me almost. And I was like, this can't stand. We have to make this movie.
There's another quote that you have in the movie of Jewison's, and directing is like going to war. You have to fight and defend yourself. So how did Hal do that?
Well,
how did he go to war? I mean, we know he went to war with producers in the end in the last 10 years.
No, I think he did it. We tried to build a case. Norman instilled those values in him early. Like, the studio is not your friend. And I feel like in every film that we looked at and looked closely, and we went through his letters, and I could find Hal would fire off these crazy memos back to the studios that were like, how ballsy is it to do that? Like, I can't believe he would say these things, because he disagreed with the marketing because it wasn't in line with what the film was about. Like, he was so passionate about the project that he would not compromise. He wouldn't bow down to marketing or biz dev or whoever was coming in to take the project away. I mean, and he fought it in his whole life until the end. And
do you think that after in the 10 years that he finished, the last 10 years of his career, just to go on with what you just brought up, there are people that feel that some directors go downhill because they stop getting the good scripts from the studios. They get the B- ones that someone has already turned down. Do you think that's what happened to him? I mean, it was really interesting for me, I don't know for everyone else, to see that part of your film and how you handled that, and very sensitively, I thought, So tell us more about that period.
Well, I mean, I wasn't there, so this is secondhand, collection of research.
That's fine, yeah.
My opinion, I don't know if it was necessarily that he wasn't getting the good scripts. I mean, he got Tootsie, It was a matter of, I think he was going to do the Hawkline Monster, Richard Brodigan, which would have been incredible. He had developed that for years. He had some crazy amount of projects that he was in development in when he died. I think he was constantly searching for the good stories. I just think they shut him out. I think he wasn't going to play ball, and he wasn't, he was, for whatever reasons, drug, they labeled him as a drug casualty. I just think they iced him, and, it's too bad. I think if Tootsie had gone his way, it would have been a completely different story for him in the end, in the third act.
And why didn't he end up doing Tootsie? It was not quite clear from the film.
It was a legal battle. He was still cutting. He had to do a director's cut of the previous film, and he had actually done it, but they were, apparently throwing Lorimar was. Although Peter Bart would probably tell you a different story, but they
Peter Bart tells you a straight story most of the time.
We should ask Peter. Yeah.
We should ask Peter.
Yeah. It was legal. It was like he wasn't delivering the film that they wanted him to deliver on the previous film, and they were going to seek injunction or whatever the legal term is for.
And I don't think people know about that he was involved with Tootsie. I certainly didn't, and it wasn't sort of kind of thing you would read in the trades. But
I imagine that stuff happened a lot, though.
Oh, it happened all the time.
You guys would know more than I would. Yeah.
Yeah, we old guys, we know about that. Doesn't happen anymore, luckily, that no one ever gets fired or has any problem.
Oh yeah, I know.
So, do you think he's been forgotten a little bit? Did you find that in working on the film over all those years that, people don't remember? They may know Altman, or they may certainly know Coppola and Scorsese, but they may not know him?
I mean, it's strange. So I just feel like we live in a society that doesn't necessarily value history in the same way that we did pre-internet, if that makes sense.
Totally, yeah.
We're so click and we're gone, and click and new information and we're gone, and outrage here, and so I think in like the collective conscious, like sure, in some sense, but when we interviewed, that's why I wanted to get sort of like new directors to talk about him. They were like overflowing with emotion to talk about this guy and how he was such an influence, and so, there's this direct lineage of filmmaking that you could trace back to him. So. That was validating. I mean, it was a hunch that we all had, So yes and no. I mean, for the public, sure. That's why we made it. So.
And how do you think he would do today? In more of a corporate world, and more of a result-oriented and blockbuster-oriented.
It's different, though. Now it's kind of like gone back around again, because it's democratized in some sense. I mean, I don't think Hal Ashby would need to crowdfund, but he could if he wanted to. He could, and we tried to say that in the last few lines. I mean, he was just getting like turned on to digital technology. I think he would be thrilled. I think he would thrive. Like a film like Lady Bird, like he would kill something like that. It's that Lady Bird's Harold and Maude. I think it'd be great.
Okay, I wanted to ask you also about, if I can find it. Oh, I know what I want to do. I wanted to ask the producers. The two of the producers are here. Where are they?
Christine Beebe and Brian Morrow.
Brian Morrison. You guys stand up.
Brian Morrow,
sorry. And from what I heard at dinner, they worked pretty closely with Amy all the way through. And that's terrific. So how did you feel as producers of Hal Ashby's attitude toward producers? Exactly. I also wanted to ask about the interviews, which were very impressive. That the people that you got together. I mean, you got just about everybody you wanted. A few maybe wheedled out, but and this was your first film. So you said your first scene was with Jane Fonda.
Yeah, that's a little terrifying. Yeah, I mean, it's Jane Fonda. She's terrifying. She's a goddess. She's like, I was like tripping over myself with like, oh, love everything you stand for, and you're so wonderful, and like the blah, she's like, okay, let's talk about Hal. But I mean, it was a testament to Hal Ashby. Like, there's very few people that you could walk in a room or like call any. I mean, we were shocked. It was always like, we got Lou Gossett, we got, whoever, all of those people. And they would just email us back on their personal accounts, like Jeff Bridges, like, sure, yeah. Can we look at cuts? Like, oh my God.
Yeah, and a lot of those people are not, like some of them you can see, but I mean, you don't see everybody.
No, Cat Stevens. I mean, we chased him for years.
Cat Stevens was amazing, to have that. That was...
I think we got patted down for his interview. Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Islamophobia and
yes, of
all
course,
that.
Yeah.
So, they had to make sure that we were legit. He was wonderful. He was great.
No, he was great, and the music really helped a lot in the film,
Oh, yeah.
And Ashby also was great with music, as we know, so it all kind of spins around. Okay, anybody have any questions for Amy? It's hard for you to see in this light, so I'll just...
No, that paid for most of the shooting the interviews, and then my producers, they put in a lot of money, and we had at the very, as we had to cross the finish line and go to Sundance, we were sweating it. Like, we're not going to we can't afford to get the movie back from color to play next month, and then we did find another investor to come in. So, right, guys, I think that was it was pretty stressful. There is, Oscilloscope owns the film now, and they were opening in New York September 7th and in LA September 14th at New Art. So and then Select Markets. I'm very happy.
Yeah.
Oh, Bob's great. I mean, you guys probably all know him. He's great. He was fantastic. Lots of stories. I mean, we could have talked to Bob for days. All these guys, though, like I wanted like Robert Town. I was like, I just want to talk about Chinatown. Like, there's so many other things I wanted to talk to them about. I mean, we didn't get Warren Beatty. We didn't get Bud Cort. We didn't get Jack Nicholson. I think those were the big three that we wanted.
Oh, don't tell anybody.
Yeah. Circle of
all the way in the back in the middle.
Oh, okay. The Stones film. There was like some lore around that about Hal was like passed out on a gurney, and was it like the lore was that he was a junkie, and that wasn't true. It was Caleb, shot or was one of the cameramen sort of organizing things, and Caleb and Pablo worked on that with Hal. I think Pablo co-directed it. Pablo Ferro with Hal. Hal had pneumonia, and so he was on an IV directing backstage. So. But I mean, I'm sure you can imagine what that was like, given the subject and the time. Probably pretty crazy. And they had like, how many cameras? They had like 50 cameras or some crazy amount of cameras. And Caleb tells the story. We couldn't get into all these details because there's not enough time in the film. But I guess they were all on the same radio channel. Like, okay, we're all gonna shoot at the same time. When Mick does this jump or something, and the radio went out, so they had no communication. So everybody just was going rogue, like nothing was. So they got the footage back, and it was just insane. But it was like, Hal's an editor. I'm sure he can fix it. Sync it up. They were at the library. They were at the Academy. Our researcher, Lisa Jansen, found them. They were at the Margaret Herrick library and, go down there and make an appointment. And that was exhilarating, actually, to sit there and go through years of correspondence. There were so many letters that we couldn't fit in the film because there just wasn't a place for it. But like this one I remember, it was like he's writing to the crew early on, maybe around Thomas Crown or somewhere in there, and he's like, had to look at the Bible last night, guys. Hope we never make anything like that. Like it was like, whoa, and that was it. Like you're Captain Billy Bob or something. There were so many great ones, but Norman didn't have any of them, and so it was really special when we filmed with Norman. Like Brian, like you gave the letters. You're like, here's your correspondence with your best friend, and it was like so emotional for him to see. And it was letters back and forth. We had all of Norman's letters to Hal, too. And so he could go back, and it was really emotional for everybody, but especially for him to see.
Has any of the family seen this film?
Well, Lee, his daughter, yeah, she went with us to Sundance, so she's, it was hard with Lee because she was so vulnerable in the film. They never met really after she was born, so it was a hard interview and it was a hard edit, and I was never sure what she would think about the film or if she would want to see it, or so she's very much in support of it. He had a brother, Jack, but Jack passed away while we were making the film, so yeah.
I think that we're about out of questions, unless anybody else has anything else. Is there one more question? Go ahead. Okay, I think we have to stop. I'm sorry. Unless that was a really great question. But thank you very much,
Thank you.
Amy.
My pleasure.
Okay. And tell all your friends it'll be out in September and to go see it. And thanks so much. This is actually a very good crowd. Not just good in quality, but in quantity, too. So there might be interest in this. Thank you, everyone, very much.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Well.
Thanks for listening to another DGA Q&A. If you'd like to hear more, you can find past episodes of The Director's Cut wherever you listen to podcasts. In the coming weeks, we'll hear from directors Shauna Festi and Lauren Greenfield, so be sure to click subscribe so you won't miss an episode. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time. This podcast is produced by the Directors Guild of America. Music is by Dan Wally.